Heyo, log 41.0. Time is 1:53 a.m. Saturday, 19th of November, 2023, UK time. So, two things just want to talk about today. I'm gonna give it some sort of type of theme. First one is you can never step into the same river twice. Not original quote, mind you, but when I first read, I don't think I even understood it when I first read. It actually kind of intrigued me. I was like, wait, what? And then thought about it. I was like, oh, wait, actually, okay, cool. I forget who says it. Something like Heraclides or something like this. Can never step in the same river twice. Heraclitus. Dude, I said the worst thing on a call today, right? I knew it as I was saying it too, but I don't know. Said it. I entered this call late that my CSM was having that I was supposed to be on, but I was like 15 minutes late to it for I forget what now, right? But it was fine to be late, basically. Showed up late, didn't turn on my camera to even say hello as I came in, listened, and then at some point, turned on my camera, chimed in on some topic, right? But then quickly after that, and then they were closing out the call, and I interjected. I said, I know I came late, but just really quick, not to keep you like later. We have this gaping hole in our data, right? That we could really use your help to fill. And my CSM, he could not like keep a straight face over it, right? And I knew what I said as soon as I was saying it, right? And then I said, well, not gaping. But like a hole, like we could use your help to fill, which is your voice volume data. We're hoping for like an inverse relationship between what we've been doing for you and your voice volume data, but because we don't have access to that system, we have no way of validating on our side. So it'd be great if you could share, and hopefully there is an inverse relationship, and we can include that in the upcoming presentation next week, because it was kind of like a dry run with the economic buyer before a larger stakeholder call. Yeah, anyways, I don't know how that came to mind, but that got said by me no less, on a call with an economic buyer of like a big company too. But I guess that's me basically. What are we gonna do? So how do I get to that though? The other thing I want to cover too is luck, right? So I don't know where to start. Let me start with like luck, I guess. Work way back to the beginning. That you can never step in the same river twice. But I think I've been incredibly lucky since this company came into my life. In fact, it coming into my life was a stroke of luck as well, as far as like even when it did, like down to the week it did. And the fact that it's, you know, British company too, even at the time, was kind of a cool little coincidence, right? In consideration. And given the circumstances I was in, I was even thinking I might have to escape America, and happens to be a British company, you know, I mean, that definitely crossed my mind even at the time. But I haven't always been lucky. In fact, I've had a lot of bad luck in my life. And maybe this is kind of, you know, the balance, right? A lot of bad luck earlier in life, or at least I felt that way and feel this way, feel this still too, even in retrospect. And at the time, certainly did. And thought I just consign myself to being like unlucky. Can't kind of trust in like any lucky. But and just like, yeah. But then since this company's coming, I feel I had a lot of luck in all ways except like in love, right? Definitely not been lucky in love since this company's come into my life. No way, right? But in all other aspects, I'd say all is a lot, but like in a lot of other aspects, and consider like a lot of my life revolves around work. So I'm like, at least all that work touches in my life, which is a lot, been quite lucky. And the reason I say that is because like I consider myself a really good forecaster. In fact, I even won the Super Forecaster Award, the first two that I would before I got fired, right? Was going for the third, but got fired before I could win it. First two this company I worked at did. And the challenge was the first quarter was like, I think it was like 10 questions, or it was 5 questions. There's 5 questions, like really random. Like, will the Dow be above you know, what, 2,000 or whatever, 10,000, you know, at this time next in 3 months, right? This specific date, blah, blah, blah. Will there be a shark spotted in the Bay Area, in the Bay, you know, between, you know, before, you know, this time, whatever date, 3 months, like really random stuff, right? And you're allowed to research and like kind of come back with, you know, the answer on the spot off the top of your head. Of course, I looked and see when was the last like shark spotting, you know, in the Bay, right? When do sharks even kind of come through? Are they always around, or do they like migrate through? What's the deal, right? The Dow thing, I mean, I don't know, like just looked at the chart of the Dow, right? Dow Jones average, and then some other kinds of questions, 5 total questions. You had to lock in your answer and you can change it. And I got 5 of 5 correct and won the award that first time around. And the manager introduced it because he was trying to get us to read this book called The Super Forecaster, or Super Forecasting, or Super Forecaster, something like this. What is it exactly? Let me get it right. I mean, Super Forecasting, The Art and Science of Prediction, book by Dan Gardner and Philip E. Tetlock. So never read the book, did get the book. He gave us the book. That was cool of him, right? It wasn't like, go get it, buy it. You know, it was given by him to us. And still have the book somewhere back home. Didn't bring it back with me, but it's in my box of books I left back in the Bay Area. One of many things that's, not many actually, cleared out a lot, but like one of the things that definitely did leave behind was basically my library. And yeah, sure, we tossed a lot of books, not tossed, but sent to like Goodwill, dropped off at Goodwill. Who knows where those end up? But there was my library, basically my core library, that I decided to keep, and said, look, listen, like it's going to be awfully expensive to ship that to UK now or later, whenever, right? But once I finally settle into a place, once I finally get a place of my own, the first thing I'd love to do is set up my library again, basically. Right now, I don't even have a bookshelf. I have a bunch of books just on the floor by my bed. But when I go to somebody's home, if they have a bookshelf, it's like one of the first things I look at, right? Like, what books do they have on their shelf? Just out of pure curiosity, not even a judgmental like angle, just like, oh shit, like, is there anything here that I might want to read, right? I'm just interested in maybe just looking at like the covers. It's been a long time since I've actually read a book, but yeah, I mean, and all of those books, like the vast majority of those books I've read, granted not all, right? And there's some there that I haven't, that I mean to, I still want to, but like the vast majority I actually read, it's like times in my life, probably more than 80% of them. And you know, they all had a impact on me, good or bad, right? But I think they all had a positive impact on me in some way. Whether I like the book that much or not is another question. But for the most part, like I like the books I've read, right? Like I didn't come away being like, oh, that was a shit book, in the same way I will like a shit movie or TV show, you know? Maybe it's because more of a labor of love. Is it though? Not really. I mean, there's so much labor goes into like making a movie or making a TV show, but maybe one individual's craft, right, has a little bit more of like that, less of that detachment between the worker and the product kind of thing. Whereas when you have a bigger group, you know, there's people can detach from the final product. I don't know, right? But that said, you know, most books I read, I like, and like that I had read them. I enjoyed having read them. There's a few though there that came away kind of not, you know, okay, that was whatever, but it was more about people having had recommended it to me, saying, oh, I think you'd really like this book. It made me think of you, blah, blah, blah. Good example of that is this book called Choke by Chuck Palahniuk, whatever. How do you say it? It's the guy that did Fight Club, right? Choke book, not just Choke. Chuck Palahniuk. Guy did Fight Club, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I like the movie Fight Club. Never read the book, but the person, like, I liked her too. Like, she was a good friend, older than us, kind of like play like a motherly role to me, at least, and like one of my buddies too, even though she was into one of my buddies. But and she said, oh boy, like, I think you really like this book, like it made me think of you. And then I read it and I was like, wait, what? Felt so like incredibly pigeonholed, right? I was like, that book made me think of you. That wasn't that good of a book. And maybe it was the time in which I read it, right? Like maybe I wasn't in the right place for it. And maybe some other books, I was just like in a prime place for that book at that time. And it had like an outsized impact on me in a way that like probably certainly wouldn't now, you know? Things like Catcher in the Rye and stuff. Some other books out there like that also. maybe like Ayn Rand. Like when I read that book, it had, The Fountainhead and then Atlas Shrugged. I think it had maybe more profound impact on me at the time I read it than it would have if I did now. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe if I didn't read it then and read it now, maybe I'd switch, and maybe change me even more. I'm not sure. But I do remember going to college, like first freshman year, like within weeks being there and being this guy at this table. And I think he started the Ayn Rand Club. And by the way, the Ayn Rand Foundation or whatever was based in Irvine, no less. So I ended up finding this out once I got there, which is no surprise if you know Irvine and if you know objectivism and all that. And Ayn Rand, I think is how I'm actually supposed to say it. This guy was just brainwashed by the book, right? Unfortunately, I was like at that point, my freshman year in college, I read it my freshman year in high school. I read it, I think, between the summer, the Fountainhead, I think I read between 8th grade and 9th grade. That's a big book. Like, proud of myself for having read it as early as I did, or whenever. It was really early. It was like either side of 9th grade, basically. Definitely 8th to 9th, actually. And because then I went on to start a club in 10th grade called Atlas. And it was kind of a callback to the book a little bit, like, but not really, because it was more about like Atlas himself, right? Like, hold the world up on your back. And it was a community service club we started. It was cool. I was president, right? Was I president or vice president? No, I was president, right? I founded it, right? And was lucky enough to come up on those like picker-upper things, or you squeeze here and then at the end it picks things up. I don't know how we came up on those. We came up on those in a couple like orange vests. And we just go to the park and pick things up and then play in the park. That was the club. And actually, we did more than that. We started a website called Vantage Forum. And Vantage was like not inspired by, but I guess my first exposure to the word Vantage was the Aston Martin Vantage, that V12 version. And Vantage is like Vantage Point, right? Vantage Forum. And my buddy Yaniv knew a guy named Jacob Moretti, and this guy just basically spun up a website for us that looked amazing. I would later, easily, 10 years later? Not 10 years later. 10th grade, I was 14, 15. And then when I was 22, like 7, 8 years later, reach out to this guy to start to help me with Pelp, and he did. Create a great website for that too. Love that guy. But I actually never even talked to that guy really when he even did the website for us. That was all through the proxy of Yaniv, who is now co-founder. Its title linked is just like project lead, because I guess they don't like titles, right? But co-founder of what's it called? Not GraphQL. GraphQL is actually what Facebook puts out, but Graph, is it just the Graph? Let me look. And I was talking to a buddy who came out and visited me out here, Salman, shout out, my friend. He was talking to me about, he was looking at doing something similar to this company called The Graph. If I'm getting it right. Yeah, The Graph. And I was like, wait, like The Graph, like, I think I know somebody that like kind of founded that, right? This guy named Yaniv. And he's like, wait, what? You know Yaniv? I'm like, well, is he a big deal? You know him too, right? And like, by the way, I went to Limburg. He went to, so did Yaniv, until he got sent away, no less, right? So I put other people's laundry out there, but he got sent away. But like, we're just like a mile or two away from Salman. Went to like basically our sister high school. So they like grew up right beside one another, right? And apparently Yaniv does all these talks about the graph indexing protocol for querying blockchain data with GraphQL. And I was like, and he's like, yeah, he made it big. I was like, really? He's rich? And I always knew he would be, right? But he's like, yeah, mega. I'm like, wait, like millions? He's like over, like probably over 100 million. I'm like, whoa, okay. Well done, Yaniv. I mean, that was my best friend for a bit. Like a year there, we were absolute best friends. I would go to his house all the time. We even started a company called Four Stokers. I came up with that name. And what we did is we sold pipes, glass pipes, ordered them in from Asia. I had the money. I bankrolled it. I put down like 550 or something. Another buddy put in 100. And the agreement was he'd get his 100 back first before I got my 550. I don't know why I was so giving with that, but that's what I agreed to. Because we just need an extra little bit to like order enough in bulk for the shipping to be free, I think was the point, from Asia. And then Yaniv set up the website and stuff. And I came up with the name and the 4 Stokers. So Stokers, you replace the K with an N, it's stoners. You replace the T with an M, it's smokers. You replace, take away the S, it's tokers, right? And the 4 is myself, Yaniv, Tim. I'm just dropping names willy-nilly now. I don't give a fuck, bro. This is my own personal diary, right? That you can find, I guess. You can find even a personal diary, right? And the customer. So the 3 founders and the customer. So the 4 of us, and it's 4 stokers, tokers, smokers, stoners, whatever, right? Brilliant. First thing I ever really started. That was 9th grade. That was before Atlas, the club. First really business I ever did, that's for sure, selling pipes, glass pipes. And we ended up getting like crack pipes in with those, which we did not order. I don't know how that happened. We got these like fucking crack pipes too. And we just stored them in his mother's house, and he would just sell them out of his house. He was the stoner. I didn't smoke. I would hang out with him, he'd smoke, and I would not, like every fucking Friday, every day, some days or some weeks, right? And I would just be online like AM chatting. He'd be, hitting the bong, right? And I always knew I was gonna smoke and do drugs, but I said no, because I liked not having done it because everyone thought I had, and I just liked holding out and like basically blowing everybody's mind when I said no, I haven't actually, right? And also just to kind of stick it to people that like thought they knew me and try to pigeonhole me and all that shit. And I was like, no, I haven't smoked weed yet, and held out until like senior year. As a 10th grade, I was fucking. So if you thought I was fucking, you were right. But no, I wasn't blazing. As soon as I started fucking, my GPA went from 3.7 weighted to 2.5 weighted. Such a huge drop off, dude. My dad once met with my teacher. And the teacher said, when I see this, like, this means they're doing drugs. That's what he said to my dad. I mean, I wasn't there. I can't repeat verbatim, but that's what my dad came back as like, are you doing drugs? Like, talk to me honestly. Like, this teacher who has 30, 40 years of experience here says when he sees this, like, it's an obvious, obvious sign of doing drugs. Kids doing drugs, probably smoking weed, but like, kid became a stoner between first semester and second semester of 10th grade. No, that wasn't the case. I just started fucking December first year. So right at the end of the first semester, I started fucking. And then from there, there went my GPA. There went my hopes of going to Stanford and Berkeley and all that shit. That's why I became an anteater. Probably wouldn't even become an anteater if it weren't for my SAT scores, but maybe still. My friends had some pretty shit SAT scores. They still ended up at UCI with me, so the GPAs weren't that much better. But then again, with GPA is such a small deviation. Even like 0.2 is a big thing, right, with GPA. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. Can't step in the same river twice, so to speak. Not so to speak, I really think. And what does that really mean? I don't know. Think about it. Am I here to interpret? I'm gonna keep my own interpretation, but I think it's a fucking great quote. And the reason it comes to mind right now, especially, is because it's definitely different. There's an era change happening at my company, and we knew it was coming. I was calling it out and definitely feeling it, seeing it. And I'm not the only one, I think, that gets it. And I've been through era changes. Anyone who's ever played like sports in high school, like varsity, for instance, I played varsity water polo, not freshman year, but like sophomore year, junior year, senior year. So I'd see when I was a sophomore, the seniors, and the seniors left, and then the juniors became the seniors, and then we had new, sophomore. I don't think any sophomore became on varsity, but like we had 2 freshmen that like jumped straight to varsity, sort of thing, or one. I think we had one. But anyways, like the team changes is what I'm saying, right? But I was still part of the team through those 3 years. So I saw it from, junior level, and saw the second year we came back with so many of the same players, but obviously not all. And then the third year, I'm there, and those, McGrade are there as well that I've come up with, right? And the new ones beneath us. And like, it's also this concept of, like, was it Theocles ship or something. I forget what that one's called, but Theseus's ship, where like a ship leaves, travels around the world, and as it's traveling around the world, every piece of it has to be repaired or replaced. And when it returns to the port from which it left, no piece of it's the same as what left. Completely new ship. Every piece of it's brand new. Is it the same ship? Right? And this is, I think, very like kind of corollary to can't step in the same river twice. I'm not big on like, well, I am kind of actually. So what I like to do in these things is like mark eras with some kind of like, I mean, if it was my company, right? Maybe I'm just cheesy and old school like this, but a shirt for everybody from that era, or just a jacket, better than a shirt, like go jacket, go. And I helped design sweater in for Amen, which also named, right? Amen. And I love that fucking sweater. My fucking girlfriend stole it, and then her dad stole it from her, and her dad was walking around in my Amen sweater. It's gone now, long gone. But then helped design like the Yammer sweater for the Yammer sales team. Had my input there, having come from the experience of designing my own hoodie in high school. And I love that shit. I still do, to be quite frank, right? But there is an abuse to it, right? Like all those Patagonia, corporate Patagonia shit. I think Patagonia has now said no more to that, right? I don't know. Is that the deal? How can they stop people from just buying Patagonia and getting it stitched up with their company branding? I guess they can't, but they won't. They no longer do the company branding, I guess, themselves, right? So no more factory branding, but after factory, fine. I guess you can't stop that. But yeah, I think there's something to said about like marking like eras, right? And there's another great word, right? Shibboleth, right? So one of my CSMs, he's really he's dealing with our biggest account ever, basically. Biggest account since like KLM or whatnot, right? But maybe matters more to us than any since that one. And that one was only because it was like our first one. And now they still pay us the most, but like I don't want to talk details, but like very important kind of new pilot, right? Most like what I'm saying is like maybe most important to our company. Like it's hard to say ever but as of this era, let's say. And they're having all these different requests, all these feature requests, blah, blah, blah. They want to customize the app up the wazoo. We only have like a handful of people on product. We have like one back end, bottom line, we have one front end engineer, right? They're asking all this stuff, and he's got so much to do. And it's like, what? And I said to him, here's you just got to say, you got to use the words MVP during this free POC. So total business lingo, but it's a fucking shibboleth, right? So, and he's like, what's a shibboleth? And he's Jewish. I'm pretty sure it's like a Jewish word, maybe Yiddish. I don't know, right? Tomato, tomato. But the idea behind this word, I'll share this right here so you can see. A custom, principle, or belief distinguishing a particular class or group of people, especially a long-standing one regarded as outmoded or no longer important, right? Who uses shibboleth? Shibboleth is one of the identity management systems in the world. Whatever. The idea here is that what is the example of a shibboleth? Such as wealth. Shibboleths can be used to highlight your social status, such as wealth, coolness, or intelligence. For example, an individual who drops names of places on the North Shore of Long Island to highlight that they vacation in an expensive and socially exclusive location. What does shibboleth mean? Year of grain. Oh, it is a Hebrew word, not Jewish. Some groups pronounce it with a sh, but speakers of related dialects pronounce it with an S. Sibboleth. What does it mean in Freemasonry? Placed across the water, corn or generic grain, which is the emblem of the germination force of the seed. But basically, a shibboleth is, let's Wikipedia with the real definition. Shibboleth is any custom or tradition, usually a choice of phrasing or even a single word, that distinguishes one group of people from another. It's like a password of sorts, sort of thing. And for the in crowd or whatnot, right? And the reason I say you got to use these words, for this is this delivering this MVP during our free POC, right? Is that look, MVP, minimal viable product, POC, proof of concept, right? But if they don't know those acronyms, fuck their fucking opinions at this point, right? You know, like this is a shibboleth or sibboleth, I guess. So you got to fucking use. And like, if they don't know what that fucking means, they shouldn't be making any more asks, right? Everyone's allowed to make their ask, but like, no more asks. So if you don't understand what MVP means or POC means, and may I remind you, this is a free fucking POC. And I said, just drop those words, please, right? At any opportunity, because that's ultimately why I'm not running this pilot, because we need an escalation point, because we knew it would come to this. So first pilot that I'm really trying to detach myself from so that I can be an escalation point that I know is invariably going to be necessary. I kicked off the pilot. I set the project plan. I, did all the initial coordination and stuff. And now I'm saying, okay, now this guy, my guy, right, is going to execute on this, and I'll be involved and overseen, but like, I don't have to be on every fucking call you guys want to have, right, with all your different demands. So yeah, I don't know where that was from, but we're here or there, shibboleth, going back, sibboleth, I guess. And fuck pronunciations. To be honest, like I think it's shibboleth. I'm gonna say shibboleth. Just like quixotic. Apparently it's not quixotic. Apparently it's quixotic, right? And another great word, guys. Being hyperverbal, I guess. I don't know. So quixotic is a great fucking word, right? And it's extremely idealistic, unrealistic, and impractical, right? So the root here is Don Quixote, which I bought that book to read this summer when I went to Turkey and hardly even cracked it. I didn't realize what a big book it was. I thought Don Quixote was going to be one of these kind of books for some reason. It's fucking like this, dude. It's like that fucking thick. Fucking huge book, but apparently one of like the best books ever written. I didn't realize that until I went to buy it and was just like reading up about it, and they're like, yeah, it's like often cited as like one of the best, like kind of like Citizen Kane sort of thing. And really ancient, like he wrote in like 1600 or something, right? But what bothers me is that the pronunciation here is quixotic. Listen.
Quixotic.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. It's Don Quixote. It's quixotic, right? But on the topic of pronunciation, one of the most hilarious things I think I've ever heard, right, was my girlfriend at the time. And she was a literature major, literary journalism, loved to read, loved to write, great writer. I first kind of fell in love with her just reading her blog, to be honest. And I knew when I read her blog that we would meet someday and we'd be at least good friends, right? And suspected probably more, right? So yeah, just reading her writing, I felt that for sure. And so she was a real reader, and she was reading something, and she said like to compromise. And I said, compromise? What, you mean compromise? And she was so embarrassed. And she even admitted, I think I told the story before even here, that like she just went back in her head to all the times she had like read that word aloud wrong, right? Like you remember like popcorn, it's a popcorn person that picks up and reads the rest. It's probably what she was going back in her head, like going through the Rolodex all the time she came across that word out and said it out loud and said it inaccurately. And I know for sure she knows the word compromise. But when she was reading it, she said compromise. And I was like, wait, do you not know the word? Like, do you not know that? Are you reading a word that you just don't know what it means? Or like, where's the disconnect, right? Or compromise means to like compromise. Because I don't know. It's a little bit baffled. I didn't press on it because I know she was like horribly embarrassed, but like, and that's like a reader's dilemma, right? Words you read and know from reading, but like never said and don't know how to say. And I guess for me, that's like quixotic, right? Or shibboleth. Never heard anybody else say shibboleth, right? Or quixotic. They're words I read and came up with my own pronunciation in my head. But I wonder if somebody said quixotic. I think I pick it up as quixotic, yes. And I wonder if somebody said sibboleth, would I pick it up as shibboleth? Probably, maybe not. But if I read it, I know it, right? So I guess, yeah. Anywho, it's interesting. All right. So lucky in every which way, not every which way, but lucky in a lot of ways since joining this company, but like love. So what occurred to me to talk about earlier this week was like my last two quote, no, not quote unquote, last two girls I loved, right? I'm gonna go through my whole fucking history here, and it's not a long history, but let's just like pick up on the last two, because I'm realizing I have some sort of blockage, constipation, with like putting myself out there sort of thing, right? And I was trying to like figure it out. One is I'm just fucking lazy. Two is that I had no practice, never really dated. Every girl I've ever dated kind of fell in my lap except the last one. Definitely did fall in my lap. Every single girl I've dated has fallen in my lap besides the last one. Fall in the lap sounds like a little below the belt, but like I didn't like our lives just aligned. It just happened, right? I didn't like pursue. It's not a girl I met at the club and fucking chased and hit up and called and hanged out and dated with. It's like, we were not classmates necessarily, but like, yeah, went to the same school or this or that, had the same friends, something like this, and just never worked together, never dated anyone I worked with, but was one I crushed on. There was one girl I crushed on pretty hard. And I never fooled around with any girl I've ever worked with. Been good about that. As inappropriate as I may be, saying like gaping hole and stuff, like even like not premeditated way. Sometimes I'm inappropriate in a premeditated way, even if it's premeditated by like a millisecond, you know. I've never fooled around with a girl at work. Even though I have a good buddy, fun, calling you fucking out. Now you're married though, so it's not right. But others also, right? Fuck around with Corey, never have. I have done blow off a coworker's tits before, but she like offered that up, right? She just got new tits and she wanted it, and we were doing blow. And I said, one thing I always wanted. Did I bait that? I'm trying to remember if I potentially baited that or not. I don't think I baited that. I think it was a more natural thing that came up. I'm like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that sort of thing. She's like, you want to do it off mine? And I just got them basically, right? And then did it. Buddy took a picture. Fun calling you out. Where is that picture, bro? There is a picture of me doing blow off of a girl's chest, and that girl's chest is a former coworker. So but that's not fucking around. That's not messing around. That was like literally like it was platonic as fuck, actually, right? It was really cool. That was like a friend move. Yeah. And that was like a down ass like girl. What's the phrase? Like home girl like move kind of thing. No, not a home girl. Home girl wouldn't necessarily do that, but like just a down ass chick move, right? So this is a picture of me doing that. And then on Monday, my boss would always start Monday mornings with a meeting. And the meeting was, tell me about something you accomplished professionally last week, and like something you accomplished, like not accomplished, but something on a personal level from like the weekend or whatever, right? Basically tell us about your weekend and tell us about like last week or a week of work or whatever. So then I said, well, this weekend, did something I've always wanted to do. And that was like blow off a girl's tits, right? I don't know if I said tits. I don't know what word I used. My name is Titizer though. So I think I'm allowed to use tits, even if it's one of the 7, you're not supposed to, or that you can't on TV, right? It's one of those 7, what is it? American 7 words, 7 words you can't say on TV. Let's share my screen again. 7 words you can't say on TV. 7 dirty words. What are they? Shit, piss, cuck. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Now, let's be real, dude. Tits is like the least worst of them all, man. Like tits and shit, right? But shit's worse than tits for sure. How does tits make this list? Corn tits, cheese tits, tater tits, new Nabisco tits. I mean, tits is like, it's an outlier here, bro. Oh, whoa. Breast, areola, nipple. All right. The perfect nipple. I like the perfect nipple. That's a pretty good nipple, actually. Not too small, not too big areola. Yeah, it's pretty good. Tits. Am I gonna see shit and piss and fucking cut? What am I gonna see if I go to shit? Nope, no pictures. No media picture, at least. Piss, a vial of piss. Fuck, what do I see? This is fucking ridiculous. Okay. Cunt. Oh, okay. No cunt. Am I gonna see a cocksucker? Am I gonna see a cocksucker? Oh, this is a fucking cocksucker, dude. Whoa. Okay, that's fucking hot. Okay, this reminds me, David Lillo calling you motherfucking out of you and me, seventh grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, going to fucking Barnes and Noble, tracking down the Kama Sutra book, escaping to a corner of Barnes and Noble, the kitty corner, no less, right? Where there's no adults. And going through the Kama Sutra book, right? Where you'd see the images like this. In fact, maybe they were real images in retrospect. I think they were real images, like the actual image of like man, female. And you would see the female's tits, and I think you would see a little bit of bush, right? But you wouldn't see dick and you wouldn't see vag, right? Would you see bush though? Or am I just thinking about that first penthouse? I don't know. But am I gonna see a motherfucker? Motherfucker's a freaking trippy word, dude. Motherfucker. Freedom of speech, motherfuckers. I like that. Sometimes abbreviated as mofo, MF, or MFer. The English language vulgarism is a form of the profanity fuck. While the word is usually considered highly offensive, it is rarely used in the literal sense of one who engaged in sexual activity with another. Okay, let go. In sexual activity with another person's mother or their own mother, right? Rather refers to a mean, despicable. Well, I got it. Okay, understood. And then tits. B-tits. I'm B-tits, bitches. You all know, like, most of you know it, right? Or tie-tie. My coach used to call me tie-tie. Titties. It's also common. Oh, where am I going with this? I gotta slow down. But if I slow down, I'll lose the fucking, I'm losing it. You see? Just by slowing down, I'm already losing the train of thought. It wasn't even like a proper train of thought, but at least I was like rolling, right? As soon as I slow down, now I'm like lost. Oh yeah, those two loves, right? So let's talk about those last two loves. Let's talk about the most recent one. Let's go start there. Maybe there's something to be said there. So that most recent one was actually the first one I actually did pursue, since the first girl I really, really kind of like, I don't know if you could say loved, but like that first unrequited love kind of thing, right? That first crush, that first one that like you thought you loved, right? Well, you did that for that time in your life, right? That was what love was, and you fucking loved that bitch. But she wasn't a bitch, right? I'll go with bitches. Yeah, there was that one. Came closer than anyone. So many people were into that girl. And then the most last one, I did actually pursue that one. She was perfect on paper, bro. And every which way, this girl is perfect. A nurse, beautiful, sweet, kind, considerate, hot as fuck, good in bed, basically a virgin. I think she let it slip once that like, yeah, she had sex before. I was like, oh yeah, we only had sex once before. We're fucking 26 at the time, right? She was 26, I was 27. Or even I was 28 and she was 27. I mean, she went long with only like having one fucking partner. And then she let it slip at one point that like, I don't know if she only had sex like maybe 4 or 5 times. And she really took it back real quick. Like I was like, wait, what? And she's like, what? And I was like, wait, we only had sex 4 or 5 times? She's like, no. But you just said that. And she was like, huh? And I think it might have been true. Just like the girl before that, the one that really loved me, right? Bipolar 1, 2 bipolars in a pod. RIP. That girl really loved me. But that was a crazy relationship. Surprise, surprise. But we had our own special connection. That girl once told me that she had like sex with we were trying to get to each other's numbers, right? And we were playing the game, right? I think she said something like, oh, like over like 25 or something, like, but like very flippantly, right? And then she backpedaled that big time. Like she ended up saying, no, like I forget what number she even finally like settled on later, right? Once she found out my number, right? which is obviously lower than hers. She was older than me. She was like 4 years older than me. Also, she was a crazy one when she was younger too, right? She was still crazy. We were both crazy. But crazy girls, they go more like, I mean, I think they go more like sexual route, right? That was one thing, actually, I will say, like, of all the fucking criteria for bipolar, right? Or criteria is not the right word. What is like symptoms or indications of bipolar? There's like a checklist, right? Symptoms of bipolar, like what you can look for in someone to kind of pick them out as like being bipolar, like 7 things or something to like look for. That my friends even like use this checklist to basically diagnose me before taking me into the hospital senior year of college. I'm just gonna type in, this may be like confirmation bias, but 7 signs of bipolar, because I think it was 7. 7 things to look for. There we go. I misspelled bipolar. Or whatever, I'll leave it. Google understood. Which is a great quote by Andrew Jackson. He's like, it takes like an unimaginative man or something to only spell words one way. What am I actually sharing? Am I sharing the right fucking thing every time? Hope so. Here we go. So top 7 signs. What if I type in 8? Let's validate. Is there an 8 thing? Is there 8 thing? 8 signs. Is there 9 signs? Is there 10 signs? Like what is there was let's see what the NHS says. I trust in the NHS. Feeling sad, hopeless, irritable most of the time. I was fucking irritable with shit. Lacking, no, that's depression. Feeling very happy. Yep. Talking, yep. 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 Whether they knew it or not, this came later. This came like in the last bad episode, actually. This is true though. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Maybe not necessarily out of character, but yeah, others seen it as being risky or harmful. The one thing that's not on this list was the hypersexuality thing, right? That's a big one. Um, let's see what the 7 signs. I don't know what RTOR is. .org. C, restlessness, racing thoughts, accelerated speech. Huh. Anyways, whatever list I once saw was like hypersexual. I was like, dude, I wasn't hypersexual. I did get crazy obsessed about this one girl that led ultimately to like the hospitalization. I was like trying to find her one night in her apartment complex, just like screaming her name. Crazy. But wasn't hypersexual, right? Maybe I'm just not that, but I'm a fucking little bit of a horn dog, but like not in the same way as like not in like a horn dog way, not like my friend Jeremy, not like that. But like I like sex. Every girlfriend I have, every time we'd meet up, we'd have sex. Yeah. Now that I'm older, if I saw a girl every time, I still have sex, but I don't know. Maybe that older that libido goes. I don't know. Fuck in the car countless times, get picked, cops constantly. We'd always play. Me and that one that loved me so much, the bipolar one. We constantly get caught in my car. We constantly just play the role of like, oh, our parents are racist. She was Asian, I was white. Steve, we're star-crossed lovers, right? Because they come up to the car, steam as fuck, right? We can't even see out. They can't see in. We're fucking naked, bright light. Put on our clothes, open the door. Then they, step out, sir. Step out, ma'am. And they always like. Oftentimes they'll call like another cop, like a woman cop or whatever. A woman cop would be there too. I mean, once they see a car steamed up, they know what's up, right? They'd take her away, they'd separate us, and they'd ask her all these questions. Are you being raped, basically? And we just play our parents are racist, we live with our folks. This is our only way to be together. It was such a crude but beautiful thing. And And this girl really loved me, man. And I've never had sex with a girl that I've broken up with. I've had what, 6 girlfriends. Never like backslid in any way, but with this one, there was one time I did, years after we broke up. I don't want to like get into it too much, but years after we broke, and we met up plenty of times in those years, right? Always kind of on her call, right? Um, she would reach out and I'd be like, yes, let's hang, right? Never hooked up, nothing, not even kissed, nothing, right? We were both really good about it. But this one time, this last time, we did. And then like I would find out much later, like 4 months later, she died. How did she die? I don't know. Can I guess? Sure. Do I want to? Not really. Have I kind of made up in my mind that I think I know how? Yes, but do I know for sure? No. I'm gonna ask. No, I'm not gonna ask her sister. Her sister never liked me. So like far removed from when she actually passed away at this point. I found out so much later that I like, I don't know. It's just like, can you, oh, I'm curious, how did she pass? It's not right. So I may probably never know. Maybe never know. But that girl really loved me, man. That's the last person that like really, really loved me. And then the next one, did I really, really love? No, but like that girl was perfect pretty much. Maybe not perfect for me, but she was fucking perfect. And I fucked that one up so bad, bro. Like that's the trauma. Not the trauma from it is not like, oh, I got my heart broken. It's not like, oh, she fucking broke my heart. Nothing like that. It's just how badly I fumbled it. I had the perfect girl on paper, at least. Given time, it could have been perfect for me too. I bet if I just didn't fucking fumble it so bad, going psycho, crazy, whatever, whatever, right? And that's what scares me is that I had a perfect girl and I fumbled it. And I'm not heartbroken. You break my heart. I'm not like damaged in that way. It's not like I got cheated on. Now I can't trust no one. It's myself. I feel like I can't trust. Like if I got enough, how many shots at like a perfect time? Like I'm not keep calling it perfect. It's not proper, right? But like, how many shots you get at like basically a holy grail sort of girl in life, right? In your life. I had that shot and I had all this experience behind me to work with as well. I knew better in every fucking which way. Somehow, and even from the beginning, I fumbled it. She let me fumble my way into that relationship. Um, like she was so um like she let me fumble, stumble, stupid, dumb my way through that from the beginning. I didn't even play it well from the start. Whereas like other ones, at least it started like romantically and like, well, like, and stars aligned, everything felt like the universe was conspiring for us. But that last one, she let me fumble my way through that and ultimately just fumbled it out right? I'm grateful, like Potter sounds horrible, but like I'm grateful like I had what I had with her, right? And she may not even consider what we had a relationship. She may not even count me as like, did we really date, right? I mean, she's got to count me on her body count, but like, I don't know how she like considers what we had, right? But yeah, that's the takeaway. So coming out of that and that then of course a hospital for 40 days, jail, blah blah blah, all the stuff that led up to all this, right? Um, and now it's like, okay, I just need to get everything in my life right, and then go for the girl kind of thing. Everything's pat. The hatches are secure, right? Then go for it, because I may stumble across another holy grail again, and I can't let another one fucking fall through my fingers, kind of thing. And to that point, all the girlfriends I've had have been amazing. And like, I don't know if I'd go back and say, oh, I'd get married to all of them, but I think I could be married to any one of them. I think I could be happily married to any one of them, except maybe one. Um, and could have family and things, and sure there'd be ups and downs, but I think I could. And now I can't think of very any people that I could be like, think I could be like happily married to, you know, aside from them, I guess, right? So yeah, it's a mind fuck of sorts. That said, what else to say? Super forecaster feel lucky, right? This came up today about like how, and things are looking to come play out like like I forecasted, which is great and better than I feared, to be honest, because there's two types of forecasting. There's one that's like a proper projection, like what I think will actually happen and what I got to set as a goal. And I think I may actually hit that goal. Work related, right? But we'll see. And there's a lot to be said about the other week. My energy is petering really badly right now. But I did my first ever service delivery summit last week. Granted, as always, I could have planned better and stuff, but I think it went really well. I am losing 2 employees though. One let me know before that week that he was leaving. He was willing to stay until kind of mid-Jan. And then this week, another one, she let me know that she was leaving. And this is the one I've talked to, all my friends always ask about this one because talk about all the time, like kind of on the fence about letting her go for the longest time. And now she's just like leaving. And it's the end of an era. And this is the point of like, you can never step in the same river twice. And it came up today when we announced the whole company, both of them leaving. I think the CEO actually asked, like, did you guys like coordinate this? Right? I was like, oh yeah, they conspired together, leave at the same time. It's almost like a mutiny, you know? And they're like, no, we didn't talk about it. We both came to an individual decision. And like subconsciously, I think it's because it's well understood that it's like an end of an era. And so begins a new one. And these two were the two that I actually inherited. Everyone else on my team now at this point, I've actually personally hired, but these two were given to me basically. And they were the first people I ever managed, basically, for better or worse for them, right? I learned a lot from managing them personally, but like, they had me was a first-time manager for them. Sucks for them, sort of thing, right? But they were good for me, good to me. And they were both little outliers on the team, a little bit, I would suggest. They were both their own little outliers, but in a great way. They represented like different sides of the spectrum in a lot of different ways, right? Of my team. It's like I went and got a team that fell somewhere in between these two poles I was given, whether by not necessarily by design, just almost maybe subconsciously, or maybe that's naturally where I would hire somewhere between these two people, but like really good at certain things, both of them really good, and then really weak on other things. But both really impactful players. One was like our social chair, the other was like our, secret brain is what one customer called them. And yeah, as they leave, they'll leave their lingering like residue is a horrible word, but lingering like impact on the culture of the company forever after. I mean, it permeates it, domino effect. It kind of is in the fabric and the DNA of the company, even when they leave. Like I've heard it said that like, a man's semen can be found inside a woman long after, right? Many men's semen. I don't know why that comes to mind, but that's a horrible thing to say. But yeah, they're in our DNA. Oh, that's where it comes from. These incel thought that like if a woman's fucked hella man, like men's DNA, like men she's fucked from hella, that DNA like changes them. I don't know about that, bro, but like I do believe that your first sexual experiences like really rewire you one way or another, or your first especially. Right or worse. Like I always say, if I have a daughter, I'm gonna say basically, but son too. So I'm not gonna tell you not to have sex. I'm not gonna tell you when to have sex. And I'm not going to specifically say who to have sex with, right? Or who not to have sex with. All I ask is that you have, for the first time, especially sex with somebody that you really care about and really cares about you. That's all I ask. Otherwise, it could just really rewire you badly. And I was very fortunate and very grateful to the universe for giving me that, right? Shout out to that first. I think some of this comes off the tail end of reading those letters, right? From cleaning out my closet back home, what, a few weeks ago. But yeah, that's all I got to say for today. I mean, there's more I could say, but next time. Much love. Be happy. Do good. Love you, Mom.